Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Outliers YouTube channel and our program Get to Know. I'm your host, DP Lyle, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Kathleen Antrim.
Thanks, Doug. It is great to be here. We've got another fantastic interview for you. Today, we've got not just a best-selling author, but she is also an award-winning author. She's been nominated oodles of times and won many awards. We have got Tori Eldridge with us. Welcome, Tori.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is so fun. Love Outliers.
Oh, we love having you
Bless you.
on.
And we love you. We
Absolutely.
miss seeing you, though, but
I know,
well, we're
right?
going to change all that at BoucherCon, so that's good.
Yes,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
Yes.
Tori
very
will be
excited.
making an appearance at BoucherCon, which will be in New Orleans in September for fans who want to come and meet Tori and get books signed. Please do show up. In the meantime, Tori, what's new? What's happening with you?
What's happening? I'm getting ready to launch Kauai Storm. It drops a week from today. Oh my gosh.
Oh, my goodness.
And so excited. This begins a whole new series for me with Ranger Makalani Pahukula. Don't you love that name? I love that name.
Yeah.
And she's born and raised in Kauai, but she has been on the mainland and working as a national park ranger in Oregon at Crater Lakes National Park for the last 10 years. So she's coming back to Kauai, to her grandmother's homestead, to celebrate Tutu's 85th birthday. And her whole Ohana, her family, is in turmoil because two of her cousins have gone missing, and the aunties are blaming each other and the families and the police. And then a dead body is found in the Kealia National Reserve. And yeah, like
It
that.
all breaks loose.
Oh, it all breaks loose.
Well, I love this cover. This cover's fantastic.
It is
It's like
beautiful.
it's like 4th of July. It's an explosion.
I
Yeah.
know.
It's so cool.
I put it on the lock screen for my phone ever since I first got it. So I look at it a gazillion times a day.
It's beautiful. So,
It's
how did you conceive of our new protagonist? Tell us about her.
Makalani. Well, I wanted, the Lily Wong series before was kind of urban, right?
Mhm.
Urban thriller. This one, I wanted it to be wilderness adventure. Kauai is one of the wettest
Oh, it's
rainforests in the world, one of the most
beautiful there.
beautiful places. Yeah, over 90% of it is uninhabited wilderness, right? So I wanted my protagonist to have serious wilderness skills.
Mhm.
I wanted her in a profession where she could be a caretaker for the land because that's how she was raised, to care for the Aina back home. And I also wanted her to have law enforcement skills. So I made her a peace officer national park ranger. And I chose Oregon because this is where my grandchildren live. And now I've moved here, and so I love it. And there's a huge Hawaiian diaspora here. So many Hawaiians in
Oh,
Oregon.
nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So it seemed like a really good location for her and a good profession for her.
Mhm.
And then her personality, came out of that.
So it sounds like you chose the wilderness, the island first, and then she evolved from that place in space.
I almost always start with a location, almost always. And
Interesting.
so I knew I wanted to, or a subject matter. In this case, I knew I wanted to dive into my Hawaiian roots. I had not done this before. And I chose Kauai because one, it's always been my favorite island. It's so beautiful. But two, because there is a very predominant native Hawaiian community and culture right there in Kauai, and especially in Little Anahola, which is on the east side near the sleepy town of Kapa'a.
Yep.
And so I knew this is where I wanted to be. So I started by researching and not just the area because I had been there recently when my son got married, but I wanted to know what Native Hawaiians were contending with today, because I, like Makalani, have been away a long time. I've actually been away a lot longer because I'm older, but hey, we're not going to talk about that. So I started, researching that, and out of that came the issues with Hawaiian homelands and Hawaiians being priced out and not being able to get land or place to live, and the leases that Hawaiian Homelands is supposed to be offering the Native Hawaiians, these 99-year dollar per year lease. But it comes with a whole lot of trouble and enforced blood quantum and all this kind of mess.
Oh,
Listen, oh
wow.
my gosh, listen to me. The pigeon is seeping out. I've been in this world so long. I start talking like that. And then I kid you not. And then I narrated my own audiobook. And so it got even heavier. So if I slip in and out, yeah, just catch me.
I like it. A little
No, I love
flavor.
it.
Yeah.
It's interesting you would say that about the natives moving out. We were in Kauai, I guess half a dozen years ago, and our waiter at one of the hotels there that we were staying at, we got to know him and talk to him every day. Really nice kid, native Hawaiian. And he said his entire family lived in Utah, Oregon, and Washington, that they just got
Yeah.
out because they couldn't afford to live there.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. Same thing happened to my parents. Instead of being able to retire in Honolulu, they had
Hmm.
to leave. They had to move
Yes.
out. And a lot of my cousins and stuff, and in Kauai, it's so expensive.
Yes.
And the tourism trade is just beefing up the prices. So a lot of the locals are having to leave and are unhoused. And,
Hmm.
so that became a big theme, that, those issues, and also the big universal theme of coming home, right? And not
Hmm.
quite fitting in and trying to get back into sync, with
Yeah.
everybody who is still there and the
And then, of
culture.
course, dead bodies.
Well, and their
And
bodies,
then, of
but
course,
you
yeah,
got to throw in one of those.
of course. It
At
wouldn't be a
least
thriller
one.
At
without it.
least one.
At
Exactly.
least one. There's got to
Yeah.
be a body count somewhere, right?
So, what do you think, in all this research, what was like, do you think the biggest and most impactful thing that you learned that impacted you?
Oh, I started studying Olelo Hawaii, the Native Hawaiian language. That was my sister. She's an artist, and she did a whole portrait series on Molokai. And that's where our family started on the Big Island, went to Molokai, went to Maui, and then came to Honolulu, where I was born. And while she was there, she met a teacher of Olelo Hawaii, and I started doing an immersion course online with that. I didn't do very much because I wish I had more time, but I don't. But it made a huge impact on me because when I was growing up, I sang, in choirs, and a lot of the music that we sang was in Native Hawaiian language. And so I knew the key words, right? And I danced the hula. And to dance the hula, you have to know what all the words, what all
Mhm.
the words mean so you can hear the cue in the music. So I knew that. And there was like a little bit here and there. But now Hawaii is going through a renaissance where they're really trying to bring Olela Hawaii into regular conversation and back into school as a medium of teaching. Because, around the time of the takeover, they made it illegal to teach in
Oh,
schools, even though Hawaii had one of the most literate populations, because we were our own nation. Yeah, we had one of the most literate countries in the world. They forbid teaching it in schools. And
Mm.
then, of course, it was frowned upon to teach and to speak. So this had a huge influence in me when I was writing.
mm,
And as I did with Lily Wong, I dropped in a lot of Mandarin or Cantonese in there contextually and defining and words and things. I did even more so with Kauai Storm because it was very important to me to keep our language alive and to integrate it in a way that welcomes in all my readers and says, I
mm.
don't put it in italics. It's not something other. It's part of the language, and I welcome you into it. And I try and
Interesting.
write it in a way where it's contextual so you understand what it means.
Sure, yeah.
When you're gonna kokua somebody, you're gonna help them. And I put it in there. And if it's something a little more, I'll actually, define it. And then I even include a glossary. So I think the whole integration of Olelo Hawaii in my book and in my life, even with my grandchildren now, was a huge issue. Huge,
Oh, I love
wonderful
that.
discovery.
That's incredible. That's really incredible. So we'll expect to learn something as we read Hawaii Storm.
Yeah, I will, drop some of these things while I entertain you. So you get to, learn a few things and be entertained because that's important, right?
And I've
So this
always
is the
wondered,
first in the series. You
It
working on the next?
is. I already submitted book two manuscript and I go through my whole big editorial process. You know how that
Sure.
is over the summer. And I imagine it will probably come out this time next year.
Cool. What's
oh,
the title?
exciting.
Do you?
I'm not going to tell
Oh, okay.
you,
All
but
right.
I will tell you it goes to Hawaii Island. That's where
Okay.
most people call the Big Island, right?
Right.
And it goes onto a Paniolo Hawaiian cowboy ranch.
Oh,
Ooh,
fun.
Ooh, fun, very fun.
Fun. As somebody
that'll
who
be
used to
fun.
own horses, I used to show horses actually,
Mm.
even as an adult. I'm going to look forward to that for
Did you
sure.
know Hawaii had cowboys?
Yes.
I did. Yeah.
Good for you. Good for
Yes.
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I think it's really cool. Um, we also know that you were a Broadway actress. You've acted, in LA and like television shows, movies, etc. How does that impact your writing?
Ooh, it impacts it a lot, especially with characterization, because as an actress, I used to embody the characters, right?
Mhm.
You want to make believe you are them. And so when I write, that's what I'm doing. And I often, I've talked about this before, I often speak aloud while I'm writing, which is why it's kind of difficult to write in mixed company or public places. And I also do dialogue at myself and I do the
Yeah.
voices and I sound kind of schizophrenic and it can get kind of crazy, right? But that kind of embodying of a character, that's I use that same technique when I write. And then it was so fun because when I narrated the audiobook, it was like, well, I know all these people. I know their voices. I talk to myself in their voices all the time. And so it was really fun to do, especially one of those scenes that have five characters who all have different ages, different genders, different levels of pigeon or not. Um, and even in those different point of view scenes where the narrating point of view is not the narration voice I've been using for most of it. So now you're talking six different levels of
Yeah.
voices and pitch and everything. And woo, it was fun. It was so fun. And
That had
all
to
of
be
it
really
is in my
difficult.
writing.
I would.
Yeah, it was actually. But I love it.
Did you find that when you were producing one of those scenes that you got into it and you decided I'm using the wrong narrator for
Oh,
this
yeah.
scene?
I caught
Maybe
myself.
I should maybe I should use this person. Yeah.
Yeah, what happened was I did this for Brilliance Publishing, Brilliance Audio, and I had to audition, to narrate my own book, and that's
Yeah.
really uncommon. Most authors don't get that chance, and I got the gig, yay! And they assigned to me a director and an engineer, and I went into a recording studio, and so I had been exchanging chapters in my rehearsal with my director to get feedback, but it was always my call to make all of the other point of view characters in that character's voice, but
Right.
not quite as voicey as I would for their dialogue, right?
Right.
In the same way that Makalani's, her point of view narration is not quite as voicey as I would do if I was doing her narration. And so, because this was my choice and because I know what I'm capable of as an actress, sometimes the director and the engineer wouldn't catch when, especially when all these voices are having all this dialogue, and then there would be those little interjections of narrator in between, and then I'd stop myself and I'd go, can I hear the last few sentences again? And I listened, I went, yep, that was Makalani's narration. I got to go do that again in Kay's voice.
Right.
Oh,
Interesting.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can you give us a little sample of what something that Makalani would say and in her voice?
Oh, she's pretty close to me.
Is she?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Her voice, that was something that my director encouraged. She
Mhm,
said, for your overall narration, I would make it, relatively close to your own voice.
Right.
mhm.
That way it's very natural, very effortless, right?
Right.
But because of, she's a 6 foot Hawaiian woman. She's a commanding person, but she's also uh, younger, in generation. It's a very generational story. So Tutu's voice is, older and lower for her. And Kavika, her father, is much much deeper and louder, and so Makalani had to kind of fall in between there. So in relationship to everybody is where I kind of found that.
Wow,
Yeah,
very
Wow.
cool.
yeah.
Love that little sampler there.
Oh,
You have to read it
pretty.
and listen to the audio now. So, because
I
I
know.
mean, it's a whole
Pretty
nother art
soon,
form.
I
Yeah.
know, right? Pretty soon the sample's gonna come up on
Yeah.
audiobook sites. Right now it's on the Brilliance, but it hasn't popped up onto like Audible yet. You can
Yeah.
pre-order,
Mhm.
but you can't hear the sample yet. So when
Oh,
you can, go listen, yeah?
Okay,
oh,
we will.
very
Oh,
exciting.
absolutely.
So, Tori, tell us where our listeners and viewers can learn more about you and, on the internet and where they can get your book.
Ooh, well, I do my own website, so I'm pretty proud of it. And that's torieldridge.com. And you know what's fun about my website is I have a readers section. And so I have a whole book club page for Kauai Storm. And it's
Oh,
got like
very
on location videos and soon to be recipes and everything. So I would check that out. And then my favorite social media is Instagram.
Hmm.
cool.
Writer.Tori. That's my favorite. You can find me Tori Eldridge author on just about any platform, but I like Instagram. It's fun.
Very cool. Very, very cool. And I'm assuming we can get your book anywhere books are sold, including
Yep.
Amazon and your favorite independent bookstore. We always like to promote those and, etc. So Tori, it's great to have you. You've been a fantastic interviewer. We're gonna have to, I know that you're going to be writing many books into the future, so we've got to have you back on with all of that. And I want to ask our viewers to please click the thumbs up, helps with the algorithms that get the interviews out. And please subscribe so you don't miss any of our future interviews. I'll throw it back to you, Doug.
Yeah, thanks, Tori. It's always great to see you. I miss seeing you and Tony at the conferences. Things have just been crazy the last few years. But the world's starting to return, so we will see you in New Orleans, and when we know that. So I tell everybody go out and buy Kauai Storm. It's great cover. I can't wait to read it, and I really want to hear the audio version
Yeah, me
now.
too.
Yes.
Yes. Well, mahalo nui loa.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
so much for inviting me. This,
Thank
as
you.
always, was a blast.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Well, that wraps up this episode of Get to Know here on the Outliers YouTube channel. And I appreciate you all listening. And remember, keep reading, keep writing, keep having fun, and don't get caught. And we will see you back very soon.